Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. It's your girl, the Brooke Ashley, and today we are here to discuss The Real Housewives of Potomac Season 5, Part 1 of this reunion. Y'all, you already know the Prosecco has been poured. My blood was boiling. It took everything in me to continue watching because I was livid. The clownery that we all saw, the foolishness, the stale, dry receipts that were revealed at the end, I was too done. Andy wasn't drilling a certain person named Ashley Darby hard enough for me. So without further ado, let's just get on into it because we don't have a minute to spare. We start off the reunion. All of the women are walking in with their crew to get all glammed up and ready. We see Karen checking in with security. Candiace is there checking in. We see Gizelle, Wendy getting ready. Then we also see Giselle and Wendy sharing a moment. Giselle gives Wendy a big hug and gives her some nice advice about what to expect and how to handle her first reunion. And I think her advice is to the tune of, make sure that you get these ladies before they can get you. And I guess that's pretty wise advice, especially when shade is the name of the game. We see Andy popping into everybody's room to see how everybody is doing. He goes into Monique's room and he's talking to that stupid bird. Don't get me started about that, please. Then we see him coming in to check on Giselle and Wendy, and then he goes into Candice's room while she's getting ready. And while Candice is getting her hair and makeup done, she's watching the finale episode on her MacBook. And she's already tense because she's like, wow, like to see what Monique was saying about her and to see how Monique just was not remorseful at all and just does not care. She's just like really, tense and she's upset. Did anybody catch how Chris with his slew foot and his heavy tongue and his marble mouth was trying to get some airtime and trying to be cute, talking about, dear Lord, please let Monique read all them down in Jesus' name, amen. I said, boy, please go somewhere. I said, Chris, oh my goodness, when I tell you I don't ever want to see Monique or Chris Samuels on a TV screen ever again, but I digress. So all the ladies come on out to get this reunion started. Since it is COVID, you all know that Andy is no longer having them sit squeezed up together in those tiny little couches. They're all in individual chairs. And the set for this year's reunion was really pretty. The theme was gorgeous. It was a Portuguese market because you all know that their cast trip was in Portugal. The ladies sit on down, child, and it's all those fake pleasantries from Andy before everything really goes off a cliff and goes left. Karen's talking about how she's wearing one of her new wigs. Ashley's talking about how she's 6 months pregnant. Candice is talking about how she has her big furry fan with her because it's a hater blocker and it is a love spreader at the same time, so they all laugh. Andy starts off by talking about how the ladies have grown and changed within these last 5 seasons. And he does a montage showing how everybody looked when they first came on this show. We start off with Karen, and we all know that seasons 1 through 3, Karen looked a plumb fool. She looked terrible. And then we see Giselle over the years. We see Monique, we see Candice, we see Ashley and Robyn, and they're all sharing a laugh. While on the topic of them and their changes throughout these 5 years, Andy notes that Karen's nose looks a little bit different, like a little tweak has been done. And she admits that she got it tweaked. She had some fillers in it because she was having some breathing problems, child. Karen always has a story or a long explanation for something. I said, I don't believe for a minute that Karen had breathing problems. She just wanted to get that sucker done because it was too small and it was too pointy and too sharp and too witch-like. She probably got tired of looking at that face all the time, and people also remarking how she looks like a witch. But I digress. So Andy asks everybody who they feel has changed the most. They all say Karen has changed the most. And then they ask who has changed the least. And Ashley remarks that she feels that Gizelle has changed the absolute least because she's just the same shady person that she's been since season 1. Side note, when they were talking about Ashley and I guess how she's grown throughout the 5 seasons, I said Ashley has looked a fool since day 1, still looks a fool. That girl has always looked a cheap, tacky mess. For somebody who is married to a millionaire, I mean, your clothes need to look a little bit better than that. I have never looked at Ashley and said, wow, she's really hit it out the park. I mean, girl, where is the Neiman Marcus? Where is the Saks Fifth Avenue? I mean, girl, y'all live in D.C. Can't you hit up Tyson's Corner or Friendship Heights? I know all about D.C. shopping, trust me. But I digress. So while we're on the topic of changes and fashion, Andy pivots that conversation on over to Gizelle and her awful fashions. So Andy's like, well, how does it feel, Gizelle, that your lack of fashion and your lack of style has been a topic of conversation amongst the viewers and amongst your castmates? And he points out that a viewer said, girl, does Gizelle get dressed in the dark? Then he talks about Karen being the main one that makes fun of her poor fashion sense and brings up the comment that she made episodes ago about how she hopes that Giselle's fashion sense does not rub off on Monique. Karen's laughing and Gizelle is already just upset. She's just pissed. She's really annoyed. And she's like, Karen said it, so it goes in one ear and out the other. Andy brings up Gizelle talking about Karen and Karen wearing a fake Fendi dress. And Karen gets upset and she's saying, I had it altered. I'm like, girl, I've had alterations on clothes before, and none of those alterations ever cut out a word of my clothing, especially if it's a designer piece. They're not cutting out the Fendi or the YSL. They're not doing that. So it's a lie. I'm like, girl, just cop to it. You wore a fake Fendi dress. Nothing is resolved. Karen still thinks that she can't dress. Gizelle is just annoyed. And it was funny because Andy then went around the room asking the other women what they thought about Giselle's fashions. And Candiace was like, Gizelle, I love you, but I just want to see you with a good stylist to help you out. And Gizelle got really upset at that. And it's like, Gizelle, just take this constructive criticism. Like, Candiace wasn't even trying to be shady. She really didn't mean that from the bottom of her heart. You just can't dress and you need some help. Period. It is what it is. We're not even going to argue or fight about this. You just don't have it. You don't have the eye for style. Everybody's not able. Then Andy goes on and asks her best friend, her partner in crime, Robyn, about what she thinks about Giselle's style. And you can tell that Giselle's face is getting a little bit tight. And she's like, you know, I personally wouldn't wear what Gizelle wears, but Gizelle pulls it off and that's her style and she takes chances. And that was a safe answer. Robyn said it without saying it. Like, I love my girl, but she can't dress. But she gave a very nice answer. And I guess that's what good friends are supposed to do. Have your back. Then Wendy chimes in and talks about how Gizelle has pretty girl syndrome. And that's why, you know, she doesn't dress well because she just is so pretty that it doesn't even matter. And I was like, well, Wendy, what are you saying about you and the rest of the women that you aren't pretty? Like, I mean, I didn't really understand that comment, but I said, okay, Wendy, if you want to say that, that's nice, I guess. I guess that's going to curry you some favor with Gizelle for season 6, but cool. So Andy goes around asking who they believe is best dressed. Monique says that Karen is the best out of the group. And then he goes on and asks Candice the same thing. Candice says herself and Karen. And Karen says, that's fair. I guess I would say that, right? Karen and Candice being named best dressed of the group. Yeah, I guess that's pretty fair. None of them hit it out the park, but if I did have to say a name for the best dress in that cast, I guess I would say those two. Giselle cannot dress at all. Robyn misses the mark a lot. Wendy, I love her to death, but she can't dress. Monique always looks very tacky. And Ashley can't dress worth a damn either. So yeah, I guess I would give it to Karen and Candice. And then, of course, Monique is just the vile human being that she is. So she's upset that Candice big upped herself. So she's like, well, I'm not that vain. I would never say myself. I'm like, girl, you can't say that you're the best dressed of the group because it's not true. Monique has money, but she doesn't have style or a sense of fashion. She just has money. But I digress. Andy addresses Karen gunning for the Green-Eyed Bandits, aka Robyn and Giselle. And she's like, I wasn't gunning for them per se. And then they all start getting in a little argument. It's a mess. Robyn brings up the fight and Andy's like, hold on now. We're not at that part yet, girl. Don't jump the gun. And he changes the subject. But before he does, he goes on to ask Robyn about the friendship that she has with Giselle. And she's like, it's a genuine friendship. It's not strategic. Now, Robyn, you've gained a few points from me this season because you actually were level-headed and you made sense regarding the whole fight with Monique and Candice. You were on the side of right, so I will give you 2 points for that. But what you won't do is play in my face and play on my intelligence. Your friendship with Giselle, although you guys might have quite a lot in common, I don't really see that as a true, genuine friendship. I think it is a strategic friendship for this show as well. So it's a mix of genuine and it's a mix of strategy so that you guys can both stay on this show and both, gang up on people and be the kind of terrors that you two can be, because you guys are a very nasty duo when you guys want to be. So I said, now, Robyn, let's not tell lies now, girl, that there is some strategy involved in that friendship you got going on with Giselle. And honestly, I don't see your friendship lasting with Giselle much longer because you are leveling up in life and Giselle doesn't really want to see that. So, we'll be here all day if I talk about their dynamic and their friendship. So for the sake of time, I'm just going to move right on along. One of my favorite parts of tonight, and that is the Wendy segment. Andy talks about Wendy's first year as a housewife and talks about how she is the first Nigerian housewife to be on Potomac. He asks her what she thought about the experience. He also asks her what her family thinks, and she talks about how her boys just love it. They love the cameras. They think that they're little mini celebs too. And her boys are very cute kids. She then talks about how she is treated like royalty, honestly, among her Nigerian loved ones, and how she went to a Nigerian market. They would just be like bowing down to her. And so she does the accent and everybody laughs. Andy also points out how her and Giselle got along really well. He says that it's actually a kind of a surprise because Giselle has a habit of being really nasty and hazing the new girls of the group. I mean, she never took to Monique. She gave Candice a little bit of a hard time, but her and Candice are good friends now. And she gave Ashley the blues all season 1, but Ashley deserved it. But again, I digress. Ashley's a little bit salty. And I think that that's part of the reason why Ashley has an issue with Wendy, because it was jealousy. I think it was jealousy at the fact that Giselle took to Wendy immediately and did not give her a hard time. And she gave Ashley a hard time and still treats Ashley like the little flunky that she is, because Ashley's Ashley and Monique both desire to be in Gizelle's inner circle so bad that it's actually really painful to watch. And we see Ashley make a remark saying, well, you didn't haze Wendy because, you are so shady. You're shady as a palm tree. And she didn't go through all of that hazing, but, some of us did. And it was like, girl, are you mad? You're mad? Oh, you're mad. Andy, starts asking Wendy about if she's still teaching, and Wendy says that she is teaching power, policy, and politics at the esteemed and illustrious Johns Hopkins. And, she makes a joke about her degrees, and Andy brings up how some of the viewers seem to have a problem with Wendy bringing up her degrees every few minutes. And Wendy defends herself, and she just says, as a Nigerian woman, education is a big deal in our culture. And she understands that, it might have been annoying, but she's not going to apologize because it's a big accomplishment. And again, it's a very important part of being a Nigerian woman. Ashley interjects and talks about how she was very disheartened by Wendy using her education and degrees to put other people down. So this is the part where if you are an Ashley fan, you might want to click off, because this is where I have to dig into Ashley and I have to get her all the way together. You all already know I don't like Ashley. I think she's evil. I think that girl is demonic and she's a very vile person who skates by and likes to use that Karen, scared white woman shtick. She does it a lot, and she did it at this reunion, and now I got to get you all the way together. When she said that Wendy was being divisive with her degrees, I said, does it bother you that a dark-skinned, black Nigerian woman is educated and is proud about it? Does that bother you? Ashley, you were dead wrong in this segment when you said that Wendy was aggressive to you, and thank God Wendy shut that all the way down. How dare you say that she's aggressive? Wendy is no more aggressive or abrasive as anybody else on that cast. Was it aggressive when you were calling Monique an alcoholic season 3 and saying that was why she had a miscarriage? I didn't forget about that. Girl, these other people can let you slide and skate by and they don't bring up your past, but I will. My foot will always be on your neck. You are so evil, and the colorism really jumped out because you kept calling that girl aggressive. I am so sick of Ashley. That girl run her damn mouth all day long, and then she want to cry and play the freaking victim. I'm so tired of it. I really am. That girl don't need to be quiet about her degrees. It might be annoying, but that doesn't bother anybody in the grand scheme of things. And you think you're so slick. Wendy and Candice are nicer than I am because I would have gotten you together even more. When you said that she threw her education in your face and saying that she was weaponizing her education, I said, I know you sitting up here lying to me today. When mixed women do that, when white women do that, they know exactly what they're doing. But racism and colorism is still alive and well. People know what they're doing when they use certain terms to darker skinned women. Period. I'm not going to sit up here and argue with nobody about this in the comments. I'm a darker skinned woman. So I'm not about to play with you. You're not about to play obtuse or play dumb or be a contrarian. Ashley is dead wrong for that. I really could not believe her. I just said this girl has so much audacity and so much damn gall. It's so crazy to me how y'all keep saying that Candice deserved to be popped in her mouth when it really should have been Ashley. Andy brought up the colorism on this show and how everybody wanted to play stupid. Ashley looking at the sky, and then you have Monique who want to open up her clown mouth talking about it's not colorism. It's not colorism. That, it's about people's actions. I said, Monique, girl, if you don't shut the F up, then I know something. Monique just wanted a moment. I said anything to discredit the two dark-skinned women on that show. Giselle felt a little bit, weird because she was like, well, they call me aggressive too. Girl, I've not heard anybody call you aggressive. I've heard mean, I've heard, bitchy, I've heard, rude, aloof, but I have yet to hear anybody place that aggressive tag on Ashley, Gizelle, or Karen. I have yet to hear it. But Candice and Wendy, I hear it all the time. I see it all the time on Twitter. People calling her aggressive. They're saying this one is provoking, but they don't give that same title to Ashley when Ashley has ran her mouth for 5 seasons straight. Ashley sat up there, said this girl was an alcoholic, said she had a miscarriage, talked about Katie like a dog, talked about Karen like a dog, talked about Robyn like a dog, about Robyn's finances, but y'all want to say that this one is provoking, but let Ashley skate by? I don't mean to raise my voice, but I'm just so annoyed and so livid because this is just insanity to me that people want to keep giving Ashley a pass after pass after pass. It's craziness. Andy, I want you to cut me a check because I know you watched my video about Ashley Darby's reckless mouth and the whole colorism on RHOP. I said, I've never seen colorism addressed on any reunion ever. But you want to bring it up now? I said, somebody at Bravo, please cut me a check. I said, I already know that you all watch my videos. I said, cut me a damn check, or better yet, let me host one of the reunions because I would have really gotten Ashley together. Wendy said it right. Candice said it right. You know what you're doing when you call dark-skinned women aggressive. You know what you're doing when you call dark-skinned women difficult. You know what you're doing when you call dark-skinned black women bitter or any one of those names. You know what you're doing. Ashley is one of the most aggressive women on that show, and she's yet to have that title stamped on her. I wonder why. Again, I'm not about to sit up here and play with y'all in the comments. I'm not about to sit up here and fight with anybody. If you want to think differently, you can go and think differently on somebody else's page, but I'm not doing it on this channel. It is what it is. Ashley is out of order, and she skates by because it is colorism. Because lighter-skinned women and mixed women can't get away with doing vile stuff and not being called out for it. But let a darker-skinned woman defend herself or brag on herself, and it's aggression and it's a problem. And it's just not right. And I'm not about to sit up here and condone it or sit up here and pretend like it's not happening. So Andy then brings up how her and Karen had friction, and he goes on to ask Wendy, why does she think that was the reason? Wendy says, well, I think that it was because I didn't come to her like I needed a mentor, like I needed a mother figure. And I think that because of that, she didn't like that. And that's why she didn't really, see it for me. And Karen's just looking stupid, shaking her head like, no, that's not it. That's not it. And Giselle is like, girl, stop lying. And Giselle lets the cat out the bag that Karen was trying to get her kicked off of the show. And Karen is sitting up there lying, talking about no. Robyn lets her know, like, girl, you a damn lie, because when we were on the plane coming from Portland, you were like, I just don't mix with Wendy. I don't like her. It's just not working out. And then Karen finally admits to saying, Wendy, I did say that because we weren't meshing well, but I want to start over, and like, this is day one, and I accept you for who you are, and I also want you to know that I was not down in your degrees, and I'm proud of you and everything that you've accomplished. And it was kind of like, Karen, you can save it right there. Karen really pissed me off as well with that. Say it with your chest. If you were trying to get this girl kicked off of the show, just admit to it and cop to it. Karen does a lot of sneaky BS behind the scenes, and then she's another person who doesn't own up to her stuff. And I'm so sick and tired of her too. Karen, you had me messed up with a comment that you made because the girls revealed that you said something like, Wendy isn't Potomac. She doesn't fit in Potomac. What does that mean? Why doesn't she fit into Potomac? I said, is the colorism jumping out with you? Oh, don't get me started on that. Because lighter-skinned women can still be very colorist. They can have a dark-skinned man and still be really nasty and mean to dark-skinned women. I thought that was very telling that she said that Wendy isn't Potomac or doesn't fit in Potomac. What does that mean? I want somebody to clarify that for me down in the comments, because I was a little bit perturbed hearing that. Andy, in all seriousness, hear me clearly, okay? I think that you need to have another host for these reunions, especially for the Black franchises. With this season of Potomac, I feel like me or me should have been asking those questions, especially about the colorism portion, because you barely scratched the surface. Ashley and the other ladies got off way too easy, in my opinion. The way I would not have let up off of Ashley and what she meant by aggressive regarding the two darker skinned women on that cast, I mean, Ashley would have been sick of me. And you let her off too easy. But let me just get off of that portion, because I will be here all day and I want to keep this as concise as possible because we still have quite a lot to get into, okay? So let me just move on and get to the next section. We move on to Candice and Andy with the shady stuff that he does. He is like, well, I heard that you moved out of Miss Dorothy's house. And she's like, oh, you did you? And she states that she doesn't really want to talk about it until Chris comes out because she wants to share the news together. Andy moves on to talk about her song, and of course, he has to make the comparison between her song and Ashley's song. And he says, well, what did you think about Ashley's song, Coffee and Tea? And she's like, I didn't think about it because it wasn't a real song. Candice ain't Miss Pennywise Darby up, and I was getting my entire life. Ashley was sick. Ashley was sick. She was sick about it. So now Miss Ashley is getting angry, and she is like, well, I performed my song many times, and, you know, it's a real song. Like, I don't know what you're talking about. And then Candice is like, yes, but the vocals, my dear, are non-existent. And when I tell you, I jumped up off of my couch and I was cheering because I said, Candice, you better eat her up. I said, you better eat this girl up just as smooth and as calm as you want to be. Ashley cannot sing. Her vocals are a joke, and that song was a joke. She can actually sing and actually has a real song and a real record deal with a real producer. I said, girl, only 2 people listen to that song, you and Michael. Candice hits her with a TKO and says, girl, you need to get tested because your man out here effing everybody and he's itching. And she shut Ashley up real good. And Ashley didn't really have anything to say. And she was just like, you know, shut the F up talking about my husband. But other than that, she didn't have a read for Candice. So I said, you know, Candice got her. And I said, okay, good. I love to see it because Ashley needs to be shut down and shut up. And I will always be here for an Ashley drag or read so we can move right on along. So then Andy brings up Candice and her Twitter fingers, and Andy kept making some very snide remarks towards her. And I'm like, Andy, I don't really like that because all the other women say crazy things on social media too. So I'm not understanding why you're just soloing and zeroing in on Candice and her Twitter usage and what she says. Candice's mouth is diabolical, but I will always stand up for Candice and her mouth because Candice is defending herself. You cannot say what you want to people and then expect them to sit there and take it. They come for Candice first and she finishes it and she has better reads, period. Candice outwits them and they can't take it. And then when Giselle was like, you know, Candice, like, you know, you go way below the belt. Giselle, please shut up because you go below the belt too. You say nasty things all the time, but you're just upset that you're outclassed and outmatched and outwitted. That's all it is. Candice ate you up talking about your tear down house and how you only had 2 nickels to rub together. You're still mad about that. I'm so tired of that. If you're going to get into an argument with somebody, you need to know there's a chance they might eat you up in the argument and win the argument and read you better than you can read. Like, it is what it is. I'm so tired of these ladies feeling like they can say what they want, and then when somebody else gets them back crazier, they're upset about it. It don't work that way. Shut your mouth then if you can't keep up in the argument. Period. I just have one question. I have gone back to previous episodes, previous seasons, and I have yet to find a time where Candiace started something first and Candiace went after somebody first. It has always been Ashley or one of the other women going after somebody else first. Candiace has yet to start anything on that cast. They come for Candiace, Candiace finishes it. Grand opening, grand closing. Y'all can miss me with the Candiace's mouth provokes people. And I was so happy when Andy asked her, do you think that your mouth provokes people? And she said, I do get a little bit crazy, but no, I do not provoke people. I defend myself. And that's exactly what she does. She defends herself, period. Then Candiace ends up letting the cat out the bag that she has bought a home with Chris. They paid for it with their own money. Miss Dorothy didn't help. And that's another thing though. You could never read me but my parents helping me out financially. That's not a read. I'm just going to take that as you're jealous. That should be the goal of every parent, to be able to provide for their kids and help them even if they are grown. It's a jealousy. Ashley, you didn't marry that old man to not be able to provide for your kids. I'm sure when your kids are good and grown, you're still going to be providing for them too and giving them money. But you're just upset because it's a dark-skinned black woman who grew up like a princess and grew up rich. That's why you're angry. That's why it bothers you. Let's just get to the root. We don't have to sit around here and go round and around the mulberry bush about it. They are jealous that Candiace is a dark-skinned black woman who grew up rich. There, I saved you time. Again, I'm not going to sit up here and argue about it. I said what I said, and it's the truth of why they don't like Candiace. It's jealousy, and it is projection, and it is this colorism again, because people aren't used to seeing dark-skinned black women growing up well. And when they do encounter one, it's a problem. And that's why they find fault with everything that Candiace does and everything that she says. And I see right through it. Y'all, this reunion has me heated, okay? I don't think I've ever been this hyped in a recap. Andy also goes on to ask Candiace about, her wanting to have kids. She says, like, yeah, she's thinking about it. They're actively working on it. So, you never know. She might be expecting child soon. Then she also discusses how she is back in school and she is getting her Master of Business Administration. They all congratulate her except Monique, because Monique's just so hateful. There's a break now at this point, and they're all like, well, can we run out to get our makeup touched up? Can we go to the restroom? And Andy's like, no, it's only a 5-minute break. Like, you guys gotta sit here. And we hear Monique talking to Ashley, and she's talking about how Candiace just does not take accountability for anything. She's getting angry, how she does not see her and Candiace ever making up ever again, and how she has her binder full of stale tea and no receipts that she can't wait to tell and share, because she's going to expose everybody. And she talks about how she has a tab made up for everybody. We're going to get into that, but yeah. So now the little break is over and we get back on to the questions. It is now Giselle's turn in the hot seat. Andy starts off being shady by asking about her home decor. Is her home fully furnished yet? Talking about what people say about her home decor style. And she's like, look, I get what I like. I get what I like. It's other people's opinions. I don't really care. Talks about how she hasn't finished furnishing her home yet. Karen starts making jokes about it, and then Giselle gets annoyed, and Giselle says something like, Karen's Geritol finally kicked in, and Karen gets upset, and she's like, here goes those age comments, like, here's the ageism, and she then talks about how Giselle is no spring chicken, and she's like, girl, you act like you're so young, but you're only a few years younger than me. You're 50 yourself. And I said, Karen, you and your team must have been watching my channel, because I've said that for months now, that Giselle does act like she's so much younger than you when she's only 7 years younger than you. So they're going back at it again, and Karen brings up Giselle's now defunct makeup line. And at this point, it looked like Giselle wanted to cry, like her eyes kept welling up with tears. And so she was like, you were coming at me about La Dame, saying that I didn't have a business. It was all fake. My perfume is in Bloomingdale's. It's on HSN. Like, it's selling out. Like, it's doing really well. And Giselle really did not want to discuss it. She was embarrassed. And we find out that the manufacturer of Giselle's defunct makeup line has been shut down due to COVID. And she's like, it's shut down, okay? And she's getting really upset and defensive. Giselle, this is a clear example of when the chickens come home to roost, because you've been really nasty to people. You have made fun of people's business endeavors. You were so nasty about her perfume. You kept saying that it was, old lady perfume. It wasn't real. Karen's lying about this business. Like, you have not been a supporter. Giselle, just know that eventually you're going to pay the piper at some time. You can't go around being nasty and rude and disparaging others and then be upset and hurt when that same energy comes back to you. You are definitely one of those ladies who can dish it out but cannot take it. And we saw it tonight. Your eyes welling up with tears, getting upset, not wanting to answer the question. You got everything coming to you. You've been very nasty to Karen. I no longer like Karen anymore, but she was absolutely correct that you've been a terror to her. You were nasty to her when she was starting out with her perfume line. Plain and simple. I just think that, Giselle, I hope this is a lesson that you will stop being such a mean girl and stop thinking that that high school mentality is cute, because it's not, and you're very ill prepared to deal when people dish it right back out to you. So I think you need to really watch your actions, watch what you say, watch what you do, so that way you're not on the hot seat about things when it's your turn. Now we turn our attention to Jamal and Giselle's relationship. Giselle lets us know that her girls are slowly getting on board. The show has helped their relationship with their father. They have actually been able to have some conversations with him, and she lets us know that they do watch the show, and so, it's been a nice facilitator with their relationship. So that's good, I guess. So then Andy goes on to ask about her dad and how did she feel when she saw her father having that outburst about Jamal and her getting back together, and how Jamal is a clown with all those kids and baby mamas. And she's like, I was okay with my dad feeling that way, and I honestly expected it because, he's my dad and he just wants the best for me. Again, a real politically correct, cute answer, because I think that Giselle is embarrassed, and I think that she knows in her heart that this is a fake relationship and it's just stupid, and she doesn't want to own up to it. So then Karen interjects and she wants a moment, and so she says, Giselle, are you and Jamal really for real? Because are you aware that he allegedly had another baby with some woman and she's his 7th baby mama? And she also said that you're doing this for a storyline. So Giselle is getting really annoyed with Karen at this point. So Giselle is like, that story is totally false. He has not had any other children. We are in a relationship. It's real. And, just like, stop it, Karen, please. So Monique wanted her big moment for this part 1. And we end the episode with her foolishness and that stupid binder. I said, Monique, here's where I have to get you together and low-key defend Giselle. You're spilling stale tea about a woman that you've been dying to be friends with for these past 3 years. I could have hit the floor when she pulled out those little tired receipts and pulled out the screenshots of the text messages. I said, this woman could be lying. I've read reports where that pastor woman claiming to be Jamal's girlfriend is a complete whack job and says that like every few months that she's his girlfriend. I guess it's pretty cool that the lady actually knew Jamal's number. Okay, and I said, it's a sad day when I have to defend Giselle. We saw you trying to kiss up to Giselle this season, along with going to lunch with her, having a key with her, and planning a lunch for Ashley together with her. So excuse me for being confused at this newfound hate and venom that you have for Giselle, a woman that you have been dying to be friends with. But since Giselle has let it be known that she truly wants nothing to do with you, I guess your little feelings are hurt, so now you want to go ahead and expose her with stale and expired tea. Giselle has been calling your husband big boy since season 2. Where was this energy for her then? But again, because Giselle has finally put the nail in the coffin and let you know that now there will never be a friendship for what you did to Candice, now you're big mad that your fantasy of riding off into the sunset with the green-eyed bandits will never come to pass, so now you want to go ahead and get revenge. Robyn told you right when she said, girl, what was the purpose of all this? Everybody was sitting there like, this is such a spectacle. Like that was just really embarrassing to me. Like I had secondhand embarrassment. Candice is getting irritated. She's like, let's pass. Like Monique is doing way too much. Like this girl is a sicko. Giselle's like, I don't believe anything that comes out of Monique's mouth. And of course, Monique is angry and Monique's like, you know, you tried to expose my family, so I'm going to expose yours. You know what, Monique, since we're on the subject of exposing people, let's talk about how you were living in your car. Let's talk about how Chris was allegedly engaged to somebody named Big Mobile. Let's talk about your alleged affair with the trainer. Because Gigi said she has some video of you. Gigi said that you were preying on Chris. And you were looking up his net worth and plotting on how you would get Big Mobile out the picture and become this Mrs. Samuels. I mean, you succeeded, but let's talk about your stuff. Since you want to sit up here and pull people's skeletons out the closet, I mean, it's old tea. This is old, retired, stale tea anyway about Jamal and his cheating. Girl, you look like a true clown up there with that stupid elementary school 3-ring binder. You really pulled the wool over a lot of our eyes. I thought that you were just the sweetest thing, and honey, it has all come out in the wash that you are just evil, and it was just absolutely pathetic. It ends with everybody just gasping. Andy is silent, and we see a to be continued. And Giselle looks very upset. She's visibly rattled. So y'all, this was the reunion. I hope you enjoyed the recap. You already know what to do. Like, comment, and subscribe. And I will see you all for Atlanta. All right, guys. Bye.